have other guests that will be joining us shortly.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I'm always on time. I can't stand to be late, so.
That's a good quality to have.
I'm like my mother. My mother would like go out of town and she would drive to the town a week beforehand just to know exactly how long it took her to get to where she was going. And I took after my mother. I'm like, I have a panel in 3 hours? Let's go now. Hi, everybody. Hi. We're just gonna kind of vamp for a few minutes while we wait for the other late actors to get here. But thank you. My God, there's so many of them. Supercon is so super.
And they're all here for you.
They're all... Some people are like, we're like, we don't know you, but everyone else. Thank you. This is my first time at Raleigh Supercon, so.
Welcome. Absolutely. We're so happy to have you here. Absolutely.
Thank you. And it's first day, and it's so busy on the first day. That's amazing.
Oh yeah.
It'll be crazy tomorrow. Who all's local? Who all's like from Raleigh? And the rest of you drove from other places. That's good on you. Well done. Who's the furthest? Who came the farthest? Someone's like Mars. Where'd you come from? How far is that? Where'd you come from? Where'd you come? Pennsylvania as well? Also Pennsylvania? How far is that? I don't geography. Isn't that just like up
About
here?
8 hours.
8 hours? Texas. That's a drive to the store. Big state. Lots of room. We call it.
Uphill both ways.
Someone from England. Did you specifically come from England to this con, or are you just like visiting the US and you're like, while I'm here? You came all the way from England just for this con?
That's awesome.
That's dedication.
We came just for this panel.
Just for this panel?
Just for J. Michael Tatum. That's why we're all here.
I'm so sorry. You're gonna be so disappointed. This panel is about managing your expectations. Kidding. So, hi everybody.
So what is this panel about? I mean, voiceover 101. I mean, everyone here wants to be a voice actor or a voiceover artist, yes?
Show of hands. Who's serious about wanting to be a voice actor? Okay, don't. Love yourselves. Get a real job.
I hate myself.
Then you're perfect.
Yes!
Cool. So I guess we'll just take questions. I can take questions for now, and who's got a good question? And but I'm gonna make a couple stipulations.
Here we go.
I have to do a lot of these, and so I hear a lot of the same questions. Just keep.
Let's trade.
Let's trade.
Is
that better? Oh, that's better. Bass to it.
We'll leave it for the late
The voice of God. Yeah, the latecomers get
Shh,
the
don't tell them. Don't tell them.
Well, hello. So, people love to ask favorites questions. Like, what's your favorite role? What's your favorite kind of ice cream? I hate favorites questions. Because I am full of anxiety, and if you ask me, what's your favorite this? I go, oh God, I suddenly have to rank my experience. Also, and if you ask me my favorite character, I've been like 236 characters in my career. That's a lot of people to have in my head. And if I pick a favorite, I guarantee you there will be 335 characters in my hotel room with me tonight going, you're a bastard. So don't ask me to pick a favorite. It's like picking my favorite child. So ask a good creative question. So who's got? I'll let you.
And this is voiceover 101. So let's keep it to how do you get into the business? What can I do? How can I get
It's like that. And I do
like
also teach a workshop. So that's I have some insight into the craft for those of you that are interested.
Okay, so let's start right up front. What is your question?
Is it easier to voice villains or heroes?
Is it easier to voice villains or heroes? So here's the thing. When you're playing a character, you don't think of them as a villain or a hero, because the villain is always the hero of their own story. It just happens to be at cross purposes to the main character of whoever that show belongs to. So if you think of yourself as a villain while you're playing a villain, I feel that that's the wrong approach, because there's no such thing as a villain who's like, oh, I'm evil. People don't think of themselves as evil. Even the ones that like to pretend they're evil, they think they're doing something right and that everyone else is just wrong. Even mass murderers, they're awful, but in their head they're like, I'm a hero. So you can't play a villain or a hero as though they are a hero. That's an audience's prerogative to call them the hero or the villain or the writers. But an actor just has to be true to that character. And we're all heroes, we're all villains, we're all everything in between. So it just sort of depends on the circumstance. So I don't think it's easier to play one or the other. Sometimes it's a lot of fun to play characters who are nothing like you, and frequently that's more like villains, because villains, you know, man, they have a lot of confidence. They know what they want. They'll do anything to get it. They don't care. And sometimes I go, man, you are a self-actualized creature. You don't give a damn. And sometimes I wish I could, in real life, be that bad. Or be that focused. But I'm not. So sometimes it's good to play, but that makes it incredibly easy, because then you're, I can be a total bastard in the booth, and then come home and be a nice guy again, because I try to be a nice guy most of the time, unless you're Alex. He's my handler this weekend, and he's gonna hate me. So good question, thank you. Next.
All right, I see the green fishnet hand. Hi.
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 Okay, so this is kind of be a spoiler question, but I didn't
Spoiler for what?
for
No spoiler
question.
No spoilers.
Okay, so this is Doctor Who related.
Okay.
What's the scariest episode you've ever watched that you had to automatically turn off the TV and go, no, 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 no?
The very first one I watched as a kid was Tom Baker's. It was the Hand of Doom one, that one. Now I was a kid, so like the special effects weren't. But they were, I was a kid, I didn't know any better, but that, like the hand, I was like, what is this show? They're all speaking in a British accent and there's a hand crawling around and it's terrifying. That. Also Blink. Blink is the gateway episode. Like that's what we show all our friends that have never seen Doctor Who. We're like, well, I have one for you. And they go, I don't want to watch. Oh my God, and they're terrified. And we're like, welcome to Doctor Who. So Blink.
I can't forget the Empty Child.
The Empty Child is also good, but for my money, Blink is far more terrifying and just even cleverer somehow. So good question.
All right, thank you. All right, so voiceover questions, guys. Okay, your hand. She's pointing to you. Hi.
She's got a friend like her height.
What's the most challenging part about being a voice actor?
The most challenging part is it's not a 9-to-5 job. It's not like other types of work. So as a voice actor, or as any kind of actor, you work for yourself. Meaning that you're contract and that you're kind of on your own and you audition and you audition and you audition. I audition on average about 5 times a day for various stuff, be it commercial. Because I have a home studio set up because you have to be able to, like, on audition hits, you want to be able to turn it in quickly. You don't have time to drive to different studios. So all of us have home setups, or we travel with setups we can put in our hotel rooms while we're at cons. And we turn in, on average, about 5 a day. And you have to stand being rejected about 100 times for every one role you land. That's just the job. Like, your job is 90% of the time auditioning. And that's the hardest part.
All right, we've got a special treat, you guys. We have the rest of our panel here.
Yes!
Josh Petersdorf! All right, Josh Petersdorf is here, and Barbara Dunkleman is here. Give a round of applause, you guys. All right, I'm gonna give you my mic because there's only 2, so you have to share.
Yeah, get that under there.
Hi, everyone.
Dana Snyder!
Well, look who rolled on in. That was the Fortnite floss.
I still can't do the floss dance.
I cannot do it
I've
either.
tried like 100 times. Can anyone else do it? That floss dance?
Floss dance.
How long did it take you?
Oh, it took me like 30 seconds.
30 seconds?
Cool.
To the manner born.
No one likes to show off.
No one likes me.
Some of these people up here have been trying for years to do the floss dance because you've mastered it in 30 seconds, which is a wonderful accomplishment.
He's mastered it.
Sorry.
Absolutely.
You put her in her place, don't worry.
But don't twist my words. I needed it in a nurturing, caring way. And a very nurturing, caring way.
I'm just glad. Anyone put Fortnite in here? Yeah? I'm glad they got rid of that switching weapon shotgun nerf thing. Yeah. F that.
The most controversial
Most controversial thing ever. I know it.
We've lost them.
Well, hello. How are you folks doing today?
We've already had this discussion, guys.
Yeah, what's the format of this panel?
And they're just asking questions about voiceover, and we're giving them total BS answers.
Should we
That's what I was doing. I'm
all
not
introduce ourselves and what we do?
That's probably a really good idea.
I also want to throw out there I'm very good at relationship advice and personal problem advice. It doesn't have to be about voiceover with me. If you've got any issues, or positive or negative, just here to help.
I don't want to hear anything from you, Rick. I'll give you some great advice too. My name is Josh Petersdorf. I'm a garbage man. I do voices in video games, Roadhog and Overwatch, Galileo and League of Legends, and the guy telling you to get back to work in a new show of Gretzko on Netflix. A Gretzko. It's a Japanese death metal corporate Japanese world of Japanese awesomeness.
A lot of descriptors in that.
Where's it from?
Sold.
My name is Barbara Dunkleman. I do Yang and RWBY. And then I also do a couple other characters in other animated shows, Naris and Camp Camp, Orf and X-Ray and Vab, may it rest in peace.
Thanks for bringing the room down.
I do Cosmos and Fairy Tale, and Jensen and Red vs. Blue.
I do Thor in the Thor movies. Body double, of course. I'm also the voice of Zinger the Tidy Cat in an internet-only Tidy Cat campaign about 12 years ago. It was the Stoner Cat. I play Granny and Squidbillies, or Squid Grandma. One lady, thank you. I play a Milkshake, I play Plastic Man and something, like 2 different things. The Penguin and some stuff. I'm probably the least favorite of all the Penguin people who've done the voice of the Penguin. And some Batman. Fine. It wouldn't be fine, it wouldn't be great. Never works out that way. I don't know what else. Doesn't matter.
Also, relationship advice giver.
Yeah, incredible relationship.
Yes, yes. Only $5 a question. I don't think I ever got around to that. I'm J. Michael Tatum, and Everybody calm down. It's only Friday, save your voice. And I've done a lot of stuff. I'm Sebastian in Black Butler. They do that a lot for him. I was Klein in RWBY. Which is great. There's like 7 different voices.
I've never met you before. Hello.
We're in a show together. This is another thing about voice actors. Frequently we're in shows together. We're like, oh hey, we were in a show together. We've never met because that's how it works. And a ton of other stuff. I'm also Sir Hammerlock in Borderlands 2. And like 100 voices in Smite. Because I live next door to the studio. Like, I'm 16 characters in Smite now because they just won't leave me alone. They're like, how's your Spanish? We're okay. Or whatever. So, yeah.
The best thing would be if they surreptitiously recorded you from your apartment and just used it without your knowledge. Like, cooking eggs, here we go. I got that egg.
Like, there's no
for the show.
I wouldn't be surprised. Hey. Yeah, so that's what we do, guys. Thanks for coming to the panel. It's been fun. Bye.
He's out.
So we're gonna take questions. Where's our moderator? Where's our moderator?
I'll moderate for
You'll
you.
moderate? There he is. He's like, look, I'm moderator. Ouch.
Moderate.
Who has a question about voiceover? I do. Okay, what's your question? Okay. So,
Do you want to take a mic into the crowd?
Do I need a mic? That's the question. I've never needed one before. Thank you. Now I have to turn it down.
No, you don't.
Lower one out. Oh, one. You want me to go all the way? Okay. So anyhow, as being a voiceover actor, you have a studio. You have to always submit from your home studio, but you also want to get a great demo out there. So how important is it to get that demo done from a professional voiceover studio versus trying to get that great demo done from your home studio where you're really going to be auditioning from in the first place?
Honestly, you could just record on your iPhone. You have an incredible voice.
Thank you.
My God.
If you need one, I'm here.
I will say this. You certainly could do it from home, and I know people that have done so. They tend to be the exception rather than the rule. The reason you want it done in a professional studio is because those studios often work with some of the clients you want. And so it's a relationship building thing, but also you want another person on the project that is your real so they can be objective about what you're doing and how to edit it together. You try to do it all yourself, it's just harder. So it can be expensive, but if you pick the right studio, in my opinion, it's totally worth it. I think you need another set of ears on that reel other than your own.
And you know the right studio, right?
What's that?
And you know the right studio, right?
There's like 5 or 6 of them. I mean, you have to do some research. But I know that, you know, if you're looking, the reason you make a reel is because generally you want to shop that reel to agencies, and an agency usually wants it to come from a studio with they already have a relationship. It's just networking. But you can do it from home, but the odds go down a little more because when you're on your own, I mean, I've gotten people will give me their reels and I'm like, these are really great, but we needed an editor. Like they didn't quite know how to put it together or the order that it should go in to best showcase their range. And all these things people don't think about when they put a reel together. It's like, oh, it's just my voice and I'll do this. But you have someone that's what they do, that's what they do when they're gonna do something amazing.
Also, the demo is really like you're dipping your toe in the water.
Yes.
That's like get you an agent. Like when we audition for stuff now, they're not listening to our demo. You know what I mean? It's like my demo's about whatever you say, about 37 years old. I'm like doing like, come on, Ma, Ricky's butter churns. It's the best thing in town. You know, like but like it really gets you into the age. I asked my agent like last year, like, why did you do a new one of these? She goes, no, doesn't matter. Like if they're gonna listen to something, but there's 1,000 things now on YouTube and everything else. Like if somebody's interested in you, your demo is not gonna be. I mean, it's important at the beginning, but after that, like then you get an agent and it's like a different thing because it's more about your auditions. You know, that's all. Also, I don't listen to anything I say. Or do. And by the way, one of us up here is always lying, and one of us is always telling the truth. It's a little game to play while you're out there.
I'll just piggyback on what Mr. Tatum said, which is when you want to be in a game that says great as Smite, you want 16 times. When you pay these for the more expensive directors, there's a guy named Chuck Duran who did my recent commercial one. You're also paying for them and their expertise, for their ear, and they know what is hip, and sometimes they know how to make you sound best. So yeah, you could get a $500 demo and it may sound great, but when your casting director hears your $2,000 demo, they go, this guy or girl is serious, and I can tell that they put some work into this because this sounds very familiar. So part of it is also just to kind of buff your chops and shine. And so it's also what Dana says, once you get established, it becomes less important, but it is very important in the beginning of your career to set the standard of excellence, you know? You want to, and you do want that third party ear to be able to break you down and build you up. You know, that's something that's really helpful for me personally, is hearing someone else be like, that sucks, do it this way. I'm like, thank you.
Yeah. Think of it like you're going into the job interview and you could make your own 3-piece suit or buy a 3-piece suit at the store. Now you may be great at sewing and your 3-piece suit may be better than anything you get at Armani. Or you could wear the Armani. They're gonna be like, wow, what a great suit. The guy is very professional.
That's the best metaphor for that. Just answer everything from now on.
If you think that's good, you should hear my relationship with that.
So my boyfriend doesn't want to talk to me anymore.
We have another question right over here.
That was a great metaphor, Dana. Thank you very much. So my question was, when you're first starting out, would you say it's better to like start your own website or like develop an LLC or a sole proprietorship or something like that, because you can love your job, but you also want to make money at the end of the day? So what makes you look more attractive to the ones hiring?
Get your hair done. Buy a nice 3-piece suit.
I mean, you don't need to worry about getting incorporated. They don't care about that.
Yeah, they don't.
I mean, are you guys all incorporated?
Yeah, but
I'm not.
But it's like, you do that once you have to because it's like tax purposes.
Yeah.
That if some guy's like, I'm about to hire you for this big job. Wait a minute. What do you mean he's not incorporated? I'm making a check to an individual? Blasphemy!
Yeah, those things aren't as important in the early days. I mean, what people care about is the quality of their audition, most of all. I mean, I see, when I used to direct, people would come in to audition for voice roles all the time, and they'd bring a headshot, and I'd be like, cool, thanks, and then throw it away, because I don't care what they look like. It's a voiceover. that job. I mean, it's cool to have a resume, but most of the time, voice acting is a weird niche business. Most directors and producers they're in a hurry, so they don't have time. All they care about is, can you do the job? So all those things are great, but like Dana said about the LLC, that's something you get later on when it's to give yourself, like for tax purposes. But in the beginning, like no producer I've ever met gives a damn, like what your name is or what you do. Like they care about, can you do the work? How is your audition? How is your real sound? That's all you need to focus on that, because the rest of it's just cosmetic.
Yeah, I would say it doesn't matter at all, especially because so much of voice acting is a lot of luck as well, just finding the one part that someone wants you for. And like for me, that's what happened. Someone just wanted me for a part. They didn't even ask me to audition or see a reel or anything like that. They just liked the sound of my voice and wanted me for the part. So yeah, I'd say that doesn't make you more or less attractive to someone in terms of voice parts.
I will say, building your brand is important from the beginning. So building a website, you can never go wrong with that. And stuff like that, making your YouTube page, and clearing all the inflammatory remarks you may have said on Twitter from like 20 years ago. It's a big thing now, whatever. So, yeah, building your brand in the beginning is really important. But as far as an LLC, probably not on the top 5 list of important things.
All right, we got another question. We're back here.
Hi, first off, Barbara, your puns from the Rooster Teeth live animation are amazing.
Thank you, and I'm sorry.
Second question, have you guys ever been nervous before an audition? How do you get over those nerves if you are?
Never. I'm one of those weird, I feel like I'm kind of like outside the bubble, because I don't get nervous before. I get my anxiety after. It's like after I did it, and then I start fretting like, oh my God, did I do it right? I could have done it better. Why did I do this, and that? So I feel like it's really helpful for me. I just let it go. Like, I just throw it to the wind. And there's a saying in voice acting, it's really never too much. Very rarely do you get told, tone it down. Very rarely.
Let me ask you 3 a question. Classic turn the tables. What are each of your most intense audition remembrance? Like your most high pressure kind of thing?
I had to audition for the dub of One Piece, which was coming back around, and Funimation had it, and they were looking for a particular character. And I auditioned for several characters, and it was a process. I auditioned 5 times, and each time there was a new tier, and I'm like, what? It never happens, by the way. It's always like one audition, and then that's, you either get it or you don't. But they kept going back to the Japanese producers, because they had to get final approval, which is also somewhat rare, but the show was just a special case for reasons. And I had to audition 5 times, and the final time I had to audition for a director, producer on the English side, and a whole slew of creatives on the Japanese side who were either there in the building or source connecting in. So there was like an audience of 10 people that are just like judging. And it was weird because the people that were giving us Japanese directions, they had English, but sometimes it doesn't always translate. So I would get directions, this was a serious direction, and like, oh, that was good, but give us one more that's bigger but smaller. And I'm like, sure, and as an actor, your job is to go, yes, I can do that. Here's bigger and smaller, and hope to God that's what they want. That was intense.
No, that was smaller and bigger. We want bigger and smaller.
Okay, yes, stupid.
That was my most intense one.
When I did Galio for League of Legends, it was something similar when, this is just a story that proves never give up, okay? Because I originally did the audition for Galio, and we did a callback, and the callbacks are even rare for some of these things. The callback was a physical callback, so I went into the studio and did 30 to 45 minutes of free, pretty much, work. And that's fine, because that's what the callback is. And I thought, man, I nailed it, and they really liked it. Well, I didn't hear anything about it, right? A couple months later, the same audition comes through again. And I look at it and I say, oh man, they already had me the first time, went through the second. They probably really don't want me, because they've obviously heard both takes of this. So I sat on it for a minute and I said, you know what? Forget it, let's do it. It's always the opportunities, you're never gonna, cash in on opportunities you don't take. So I said, let's do it. I did it a kind of a different way, with a little bit more like Cockney thing, this and that, right? And then I show up and they go, hey, we want you to do another callback. And I come back and they say, okay, That was great. I said, did you want the new version? I'm assuming you want version 3. Like, no, Josh, we want version 1. We're just glad that you re-auditioned again. And that's how I got the job. And so it's stuff like that. You can never predict it, and it's always just testament to never giving up. And that was nerve-wracking, you know, because there was a point when I doubted, like, I don't think they want what I have to offer. And in the end, they did, so it was really cool.
For me, it was auditioning for the first time at Funimation. They are the studio that does pretty much all the English dubs for every anime ever. And I went into audition with a couple people from Rooster Teeth, and it was my first time ever really auditioning for a big studio like that. And read for a couple different parts, didn't hear anything. About a year passes, and I get an email from this company that's like, hey, we'd love to have you come in to read for this character. Here are some dates that we have available. And I said, surely this is fake. Yeah. I don't know who this is, what this is from, or what they're referring to. So I went up to Michael Jones, who voices Sting in Fairy Tale. He works with Funimation as well. And I asked him if he knew who the person who emailed me was, and he's like, oh yeah, that's someone who works with Funimation. And I was like, what? So I called them, and it turns out that they re-listened to our audition tapes and like identified my voice as someone who would work for this character called Cosmos in Fairy Tale. And so I went in to record for that character. It's my first time doing anything slightly professional. And it was about a 6-hour recording, and I was sweating profusely the whole time. I was terrified, but it was amazing.
Correct.
All right.
What about you, Dana?
I was auditioning for Steven Spielberg with Clint Eastwood. It could happen. I could have done something. All right. I don't know. I mean, I had one of those things for this Pixar thing, and it was like for a movie. It was like one of the big parts. They kept saying, like, well, there's down to 10 people up for it. Then like down to 5 people. Then down to 2 people. Then they're like, they're calling tomorrow. They said they're going to call. And then they fired the director. Completely changed the whole thing was so my counterbalance to yours is do give up.
Oh,
don't worry. I wasted so much time thinking about that thing.
I do want to add to this though, because I know the question was about like, what do we do about? Can we get some more volume on our mic?
This one just keeps good ditching it out because it doesn't like me. So the question was like nerves. What do you do for nerves? So here's the thing that I've come to learn and doing this for as long as I have. Fear is energy you can use. Don't try to fight fear. The best direction I've ever been given by a director was stop trying to pretend to me that you're not scared out of your mind and just go with what you're feeling. Let the character be terrified and see where that takes you. And I'm like, oh, I can just be terrified. And we all have this weird, especially when you start out, there's always this weird fear like, oh my God, if they're gonna see that I'm afraid, and the director's like, wait a minute, you're afraid, you're not an actor! Get out! Get out! But here's the thing.
I bet he doesn't even have an LLC!
And he made his own show?
Yeah, he's wearing a homemade suit with no LLC!
But I had this relationship where I used to be really nervous when I'd go, and I still am, but here's the thing, the difference between like fear and excitement. Like if you were to, when you're feeling fear, or you're feeling excitement about something you want to do and you're just really keyed up, like coming to a con, or whatever, doing a roller coaster, like if you were to put your body in like an EKG, it's the same areas are lining up. So fear and excitement are the same thing. The only difference is the conversation you're having in your head about what you're experiencing.
I had a friend say that you should use adrenaline in a positive way rather than it as fear. Yeah. So take that adrenaline and be like, this is a really cool thing to do, and use that to your advantage.
And sometimes it's as easy as just changing, as you go, oh my God, I'm gonna screw up. It's changing the conversation to like, here we go. Just see it. And like welcome the opportunity to fall on your face. Yep. Because your willingness to do it, a good director senses and they appreciate it, and they'll know like, okay, you'll do anything. You may not be right for the role, and frequently, like when you're auditioning, taking that rejection is really hard until you realize it's not personal. It's just you weren't who they heard in their head. It's not that you're not a good actor. You're just not who they wanted, and there's nothing you can do about that. But fear is useful. It's energy. Don't try to get rid of it or fight it. Fighting it just wastes precious energy you should be giving to the performance.
And people who are professionals, been doing this for years, still get scared and nervous every time.
Absolutely.
It's not something that really goes away once you start doing it professionally. I'm terrified every single time I go to record any character or any video or anything like that.
Unless you're Dana, who feels no
Unless
fear.
you're Dana.
I'm dead inside.
All right, guys, we're over here on this side of the room. To your left, to the left, to the left. We got a question right here.
What is the best like starter slash budget mic? Like
The best budget mic or starter microphone?
yeah.
Yeah.
Seriously, the iPhone is really good nowadays. I mean, the technology on that, and you know, you can start as whatever works in your budget. If you need to get a USB mic, you can get a USB mic. If you want to get something that's more hardwired with an XLR cable or something to run in there, do that.
The thing too is not, I mean, yeah, a great mic is going to make you sound better, but it's also as important about baffling the room that you're in. That, I mean, when we go away, I had to do an audition this morning. I put the pillows, I make like a little tent out of the pillows because it's the room you're in is, I mean, you could take one of these things and have it sound as good as, if you have a $500 mic, but if you're sitting in the middle of a bouncy gymnasium, it's not going to make a difference. You know, you want like a little, like you get, I don't know what your name is, we'll call you Jeff. Jeff, get yourself one of them little, like those, those little boxes they sell at Target, like those little softy ones, right? Then you just find yourself one of your old towels, or some of that foamy stuff, weird like egg crate stuff. Just shove it in there, then lay it on its side. You got a little hole right here. Then you put the mic, you hold this thing right here, then you go like this, Jeff, and then you're in the next Pixar movie.
All right, we're over here on the right side now, over here, all the way here. Hi, what's your question?
Have you ever had a character that you learned that you really didn't like, and how did you deal with that?
Like to put shit in. I have an answer. Sorry, I had to follow up on the box question. It's just a regular box, it's got a little hand like you put it on a shelf and throw your socks in or whatever. It's like a little fabric, like a five-sided cube with an opening at the top. But you can lift the inside and it folds flat. It's like a storage cube. It's like a fabric storage cube. It doesn't matter what. You can make it out of teakwood if you want, but just stuff it with a sound bath. Yeah. So you're not echoing all around the room. True. There you go.
So the question was, have we ever found ourselves playing a character that we didn't like, and how did we handle it? And I don't presume to speak for everyone on the panel, but I feel that I probably will. And I say that there are frequently times when as an actor we're called upon to be in a show that we are not the audience for. Like we're not the intended audience for. It just happens. We can't be the target audience for many things we're in. But as actors, we take every role seriously. We try to bring it to life for the audience it is for. So I have never in my career, and I've played over 236 characters in my life, and I've never not loved all of them, even if it's someone that I'm like, I disagree with this person. Like maybe this is a villain that wants to kill a bunch of people, and I don't want to kill a bunch of people. And if I met this person in the street, I want to get away from them as quickly as possible. But you're playing them, and you have to be that person. So if and this is a weird business acting, you form a relationship with these characters, and you find yourself loving them even if they're despicable people, because that's your job. If you can't do it, it's a failure of your own imagination. If you don't have that much imagination, you should be an actor. If you're only comfortable playing characters that agree with you, this is a terrible business to be in, because you're not gonna have much range, and you can only play you.
Yeah, and it's a job.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not painting the lines on the highway. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, it's still a job.
Yeah.
But if you don't like the people you're playing, then you're going to be in trouble, because you got to have you're bringing that humanity to them. But also, you're going to be done in 4 hours. You can walk out and forget it. You get through, Jeff, you get through doing your Pixar movie, you're playing Hitler in the next Pixar movie. And you don't like Hitler, nobody likes Hitler, but you got to make him likable because you're going to play him, and then you leave, and then you turn it off, and you're done with it. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to Daniel Day-Lewis it. Like, I must act like Hitler, I'm going to grow the mustache. Like, it's just done. You get done at 4 o'clock, you let it go, and then it's over. Jeff.
And it's a character too, it's like, I guess, you're acting, so if you don't agree with, director Tone and Agretzko had some misogynistic, chauvinistic kind of lines, right? And the vocal director had to tell me, be more of an asshole. He was like, turn it up more. I was like, are you sure? I feel really bad. Just do it. So.
Like, Josh, why do you think I hurt you?
Yeah, why do you think I hurt you? Yeah. I needed some terrible chauvinistic.
I'm just very narcissistic, and I love every character I play.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right, we got another question right here. What's your name and what's your question?
Hey there, I'm Matt, and good God, I'm loud. So, I've got a question.
I'm going to trade thanks with you guys.
Is voice acting a gift you have to be born with, or is it something you can learn?
Well,
yes.
I think there's two words in voice acting. There's voice and acting. So maybe you're stronger at acting than your voice is. Maybe your voice is stronger than your acting is. But I want to say they're definitely a combination of the two. So I mean, if you were born without the ability to speak, you probably wouldn't be a good voice actor. Well, I take that back. There are signs, you know what I'm saying? You could be like a signer, like the people who do the sign language of the rap songs. That is so cool, by the way.
I don't personally believe that anyone is born doing this. Like, you might have a certain like aptitude from your childhood. You're like, oh, you performed a lot as a kid because you were always the class clown or something like I was. But no, you have to learn it. I mean, I still learn. I've been doing this for 15 years and I still take workshops all the time. I teach and I still take workshops because I always have new things to learn. So it's
Sometimes you teach yourself.
Sometimes
you sell yourself a ticket to your workshop.
I give
And then you run back and forth in the table all the time.
That's an acting exercise.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, some people are born naturally with really cool voices, and as they get older, they kind of get this wonderful tone, but maybe they don't know how to act or how to read a script believably. Or, you know, like Josh said, maybe someone has a really good ability to act. I've worked with stage actors who are phenomenal. They get in front of a microphone and they don't know what they're doing because it's a whole different atmosphere, and they don't know how to bring those qualities to a vocal performance because it's a whole different set of, a whole other ballgame. So, yes, you have to learn. I don't think anyone's born being a good actor. I think acting only comes from experience, personally.
Speak for yourself.
I was gonna say that.
Unless you're Dana, who feels no fear, who's dead inside.
And then dead inside, I have no jobs, I'll never be in Pixar, and every day is a struggle. All right, we got a 2-for-1 question right over here. Stand on up, you two, and ask your question.
My question,
Simultaneously, please.
my question is, how do you guys warm up into your characters before you start voicing them?
And
how old should you start professionally voice acting? What age do you think that should be?
4.5. Well, get on the program, guys.
That's true, I can tell you. I have this little daughter, and my agent always, when she calls me, my agent, not my daughter. But she likes that. Is that your daughter in the background? Like, yes. But how old is she? Like, she just turned 4. Yeah, bring her in. I'm like, bring her in? Am I like Jake cooking this kid, or like Gary Coleman to steal all her money? But yeah, like apparently 4 years old is when they bring them in, because that's just the age enough that they will like don't need diapers and can talk enough that you can understand what they're saying, and they can like learn, they can memorize things. You know, like my daughter, like she'll read a whole damn book to me. That she can't read it all, but she just remembers it because she makes me read it to her 1,000 times a night. One more time. Okay, fine. The monkey's in the mall and he found a coconut or whatever it is. But she like, they can memorize like that. So 4, yes, it should be 4. Or 12 years too much.
How do you warm up?
Well, with the voices I seem to always find myself doing, they're very low. I like to yell at myself in the car for 30 minutes.
If you guys don't know, but Josh in the morning he wakes up like this, like, hey, it's another beautiful day outside. Can't wait to go.
Steve Whitmire, I sound like Kermit the Frog.
Then he's in the car, he's like, you don't have an LLC! What are you doing with your life?
I bought my suit, 3 piece. Don't ever hurt yourself. I swear by room temperature water. People use this Chinese throat coat stuff. I know a lot of people, but I'm like one of those people that I don't use chapstick. My lips don't get chapped, so kind of like I don't use a throat coat unless I absolutely need it. Because there are going to be some vocally stressful sessions when you're doing exertions in video games, especially you're dying a lot.
Their question to you about how you get into your warm up into your character.
Oh, like a specific character.
I think.
So for Roadhog, it was just screaming into the car for 20 minutes. But I tell you what, I quit smoking cigarettes 5 years ago.
how many of you never smoked cigarettes before? Oh, a smattering of applause for that. Jeff? Jeff? How many packs you down to now, buddy? No tell. All right. We'll get you there, don't worry. Smoke food to Pixar and the Hitler's Pixar.
As someone with the last name Dunkleman, all this Hitler talk is making me very uncomfortable. For me personally, for every character, I have either a word or a phrase that I say over and over again to get that voice out. Like for my character in Camp, who's
A little Dungeons and Dragons character. I just go, yeah, yeah,
over and over and over again until I could get it just right. And then, am I allowed to swear in this panel?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So there's a character that was like a little robot that I used to name Orf. And because it was so sweet and innocent, I would love to just say the most crude things. I'd be like,
yeah, I'll pop a cap in your ass.
and that would get me right into character.
To be fair, as far as swears go, that was the tamest swear. I was expecting, like, here it comes. Hey, like, in your butt cheek.
I think we have another question right over here. Hi.
Hi, my name is Shani. It's nice to meet you all. I was wondering, when you do iconic characters, when you first see them, what is your first impression of their voice? Like, for example, Michael, when you did Ida, what was the first voice that you thought of in your head?
Ida's a great example of how that's just me. Like, I saw him and I didn't just have the concept art, like we had the animation, so I saw the way he moved. And the way he moves is so specific and so funny because he gestures wildly all the time. And when there's like a moment when he gestures and the camera just randomly follows the gesture and back to him, and I'm like, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. So the way you'll notice I do a lot of gestures. Like tie my hands behind my back, I can't have a conversation with you. So I saw him and I'm like, that's just me. That's how I talk, and like he's got a very straight face. But like also there are things that the line, there's all these elements that I just kind of respond to, and my first reaction, I don't know that I can always conceptualize it, like, oh, he's this, because I don't want to give myself the boxes to check. Oh, he should be this, he should be that. I just have I'm like, all right, just be open, go in there, what does he give me, and then, all right, that's what comes up. And then the director's job, if they don't like what I did, we're like, oh, you do more of this, then they'll turn the knobs on a bit. But it's just kind of you go in with a empty mind, so to speak, often scared out of your mind. Yes. We talked about it earlier. It's the fear, it's going to show up in your life, might as well make it work for you. And it's however they sound, or however, whatever your first impression is, it's unique for every character, and it frequently changes as you go. Like, oh, today Ida is this, because they're complicated, they're people. Even if they're two-dimensional within the story, they're still, you have to play them as real. So yeah, it just depends. It depends entirely, but a first impression is subject to change minute by minute. You just have to chase it.
Yeah, great answer.
All right, we're in the back of the room now, all the way back here. We have a question. Hi.
Hi.
Bring the mic up.
Do you have a favorite character, and if so, what makes them your favorite?
All right, to be fair, she was late to the panel. So I told them that we hate favorites questions. Because, well, I do. I didn't speak for you guys because you guys weren't here.
Love you.
I had to go to the bathroom.
He recorded his new Pixar animation.
So the favorites game, like for me, it's hard because when you play all these characters, it's hard to pick a favorite because they become a part of you. Every time you play a character, even if it's like Soldier A in some show that has like the word freeze and gets shot and killed, like that's Ralph, he has a family, it's weird.
But probably Soldier A isn't your favorite of your characters.
No. But,
of course not. Soldier A is an asshole.
But I mean, every character is unique, and so when you pick a favorite out of hundreds, it's like you have to pick a favorite child, and they're all in here. And if I, give you an answer, because I want to be like, oh, thank you for asking, and it's this, I could say Sebastian, and everyone will like, cool! And then that happens, even though he's a demon that wants to eat your soul, look at your life, look at your choices. But if I do that, that, then I go back to my hotel room later tonight, and I have 200 some odd characters in my head going, why didn't you choose me? I was your favorite. There, I'm a little crazy. I don't know if it's like that for you guys. You seem a lot more healthier than I am mentally, so I'm just gonna pass the mic over.
I'll give the wonderful answer. You know what my favorite character is? It's you guys. When you come up and meet us, okay? It is, because every one of you has a favorite. But I mean that it is so flattering and so warming to see you guys come up and tell us what your favorite is, because then I'm like, that's awesome. That's when it means you connected with somebody, and that's when I get really happy about what we're doing.
Well, I feel like an asshole.
Totally ask about favorites.
But I want to know of all of them, which one of them is your favorite?
What have you done, Dana?
Can't you hear that piano where they like rip the people to pieces? And then they tear the pianist's bodies apart.
I was there.
I blame Jeff.
By the way, don't forget over the weekend now to, if you Instagram or tweet or whatever the internet thing you do is, make sure you hashtag Jeff. Spot him down, take a picture of him. This is the thing that we can the celebrity factor. You can create your own celebrities amongst the group. And then you don't care about the other people, and then you're like, then you're like all year, you can just have like a Jeff Con all the time.
Okay, Jeff is gonna start stealing work from all of us.
We're gonna come back and she's gonna have a booth with autographs of
Yeah, we're gonna be like, Jeff, I remember you when you weren't Jeff.
It's some stupid name like Duncan or whatever it was. I made you who you are today, Jeff. A guy in a tank top, a Batman tank top, and an inflatable T-Rex suit.
Legend.
Proud of you.
Proud of you. Hashtag proud of you, Jeff.
It's Supercon Jeff. He's always at
Hashtag Supercon Jeff. At Supercon Jeff. All right, we have another question right over here. What's up, man? What's your question?
As someone who's in the middle of video game development hell, how do I get in contact with voice actors when we get to that stage of development?
I would say agents. All of us have most of our agencies that we're with and with Atlas Talent. I'm sure these people are with wonderful, reputable agencies as well. They're the best reason, because when you book work without your agent, you get the call, what are you doing?
Well, you don't even need an agent though. You get a casting director, and they talk to the agent. You just call some guy up who's a casting director, like, hey, Yakko, come on. I'm in development hell here. I don't need you wasting my time. I need voices for this. And then that guy goes out and gets it. Then you just sit back and cash your checks. Or call Jeff.
All right, I'm going this way now. What's up? What's your question?
Hey, so recently I made an animation demo reel, and I'm trying to find ways to get it out there. What do you suggest?
Shop it to agencies.
Email.
Agencies first. Email is great. But yeah, find agencies in your area or other areas where you plan to move. It is, if you want to like work for the big studios, you have to move where the work is. 9 times out of 10, that's just going to be, if you're new, they're not going to work with you if you're remote. That's just not how it works anymore, or has ever worked. So shop it to agencies first, and then studios if that doesn't. And here's the thing though, if your reel isn't getting any bites, do another reel. Like if you're going 6 months and no one is biting, it's time to do another reel. Because it's just, and you need to go to someone that can tell you, like, yeah, this is what you need to change because this is hot right now, this isn't. So it's a constant updating game. But like agencies first. Don't send it to the studios because they go in the trash. They don't care. The casting directors and directors are too busy to audition through reels. That's what agencies are for. So you have to go through the right channels. Do not hand a voice actor a reel at a con. You'd be surprised how many hotel room trash cans I filled with reels that people give me like, hey, thank you. Because I'm not the person. Like you're also, don't hand it to a voice actor because you're your competition.
You can hand it to him and say, I'd like to take your jobs from you.
Let me sign right up of that.
And here's why I should have your job.
Take work from me. So agencies. If you don't know how to look for an agency, there's this thing called Google. It's like a little box you hold in your hand, and you can ask it questions, and it gives you answers, and some of them are fake.
The other thing, on a side note, that everyone should write down is our friend D. Bradley Baker made a website that answers every single one of these questions on 1,000 others.
VoiceActor.com.
I want to be a voiceactor.com. There's nothing you can think of regarding voice acting that is not covered on there. It has everything. It is the best source, and he did it because he got sick of everybody handing him his demos and telling him he shouldn't do the voice and they wanted a job. So he made, like, it's exhaustive in its completedness of how much it covers what to do, how to become a voiceover artist. That's it.
Yeah. And like Michael said, don't get discouraged if it's not biting. Make another one. You know, for me personally, I saw my agent in a class that she held every week that was $25, and I saw her every week for a year, and then I had to pay to have it. It was kind of like a meet and greet night, and it was $100, and you know, yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize. And for maybe, 8 out of the 10 people in that class, maybe it was a waste of $100. They weren't ready. But for 2 of us, it was the right time to prove to the agent that we were serious. And then she'd be like, "What are you doing?" "Oh, I have my reel." "Oh, but you've been working outside of this. Wonderful." You know what I'm saying? So I don't know how it is in other areas. We live in Los Angeles, and it's a little more plentiful out there. But I guarantee you, there are acting classes and casting directors from everything from radio to. Maybe you'd be surprised. A lot of dubs get done out of Texas now, which is crazy, So just keep trying, give it to the right people, and don't worry about giving it to 10 people, worry about giving it to one right person.
All right, we got another question all the way back here. Hello, everyone.
So vague, all the way back here.
Wait, who is it?
There's a lot of them.
What'd you say? I thought it was Zorro. I'm out of it.
Wesley?
Dread Piper Roberts.
I have a question for Dana. So,
shut up, everybody. I got this. I turned to Clint and I said, "Clint." And then Steven Spielberg interrupted us again. He's been texting me this whole time. He keeps Steven Spielberg. "How's the piano going? Did you mention me again? Talking about our project?" "Leave me alone, Steve." What's your question, Zorro?
It's a relationship question.
Yes. I can tell you need some advice. No, in a nurturing, caring way. Don't twist my words.
So, I actually recently broke up with my girlfriend 3 years ago.
Okay, first off, 3 years ago is not a recent thing. 3 years ago is a long time ago.
She was your girlfriend for 3 years. Okay, there we go. Clarified.
Was time management an issue?
Yeah. I'll be there Thursday. I said 2 o'clock.
But I still care about her. I'm still trying to work out my emotions of getting over her so I can move on. What do you recommend, Dana?
Get in the voiceover business. Yeah. Focus on all the horrible things about her, and then you won't want to be with her anymore. We're like, wow, sure, of course, just a mooch. She was always stealing sandwiches out of my fridge and interrupting me at work. Telling me she loved me all the time, looking at me with those ugly, disgusting, beautiful blue eyes of hers. That long, silky, long black hair that I hate now because it smells like peppermints and unicorns. Yeah. Now you're living the life, right? Back in that studio apartment, eating those TV dinners because she did all the cooking, all her horrible food. She's probably trying to poison you. I think you saved your life, actually. I think you saved your own life. Good for you. I say good for you. You should be alone forever and you'll live forever. You save yourself in a nurturing, caring way. We should all be as lucky. Vibes.
Freedom.
Some sound advice.
The only way to get over someone is to get under someone else.
I'll also add to that, the best breakup advice I've ever seen was on a bathroom wall. It said, "However much you love them, someone somewhere is sick of their shit."
I was gonna give some uplifting, "Hey, you're the best you ever, just believe in who you are." Keep slashing Z's and bed sheets, all right?
All right, guys, give me our last question right over here.
Last question.
Go for it.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Brian. I'm kind of in this kind of a paradigm shift in how I want to go about my career. So I've been doing a little bit of voice work for about 9 to 10 years, more as a hobby. But there was a moment when I had that click. I realized that I was like, hey, this is something I want to do. When did you all seem to have that moment where maybe you did something that someone reacted, they thought it was the funniest thing they ever heard, and it's like, I got something. So how can I work about it?
Dana Snyder said hi to me in the airport before this flight, and I knew I would have been in it.
I was going to say, how long did you do it that you hated it before you decided you liked it? Oh God, gotta go to my stupid voiceover gig again.
It's kind of like growing up. Like we all have this attitude, this idea that I'm gonna cross at some point a very like visceral threshold and be like, I have arrived. You know, and it never happens. An adult, you suddenly go, you know, it's in your kid, you're like, one day I'm gonna be an adult. I'm gonna step over that line and be like, yes, I feel like an adult. Never happens. You just suddenly realize, oh shit, I've been an adult for 10 years. When did that happen? Same for all of us. Like it's something you do and you kind of take it one day at a time, like anything, and you suddenly realize, oh, I've been acting for a while. This is clearly what I'm doing. So, not that it's not good to have goals. You should have goals, but it's not. If you wait to feel like you're in the right place, you're never gonna know it. Because you're just gonna wait. Like it's never gonna feel like the right place. Because if you're doing the job correctly, you're not focused on that. You're in the here and now. I have a very Zen-like approach. I frequently get asked, you know, have you heard of this character? You should try it for that. I'm like, no, I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear about any character I'm not playing because I don't want to know what I'm doing until I go in. So, if you want to do it, I mean, clearly that you could even get to a point where you're asking that question, having a paradigm shift, you're already there. You're already there, and the rest of it's just going to be how your career unfolds. And you have about a 50% control over that. The rest of it is luck and being in the right place at the right time. But don't wait for it to feel right, because it's never going to. It's going to feel cool at times, other times you're going to want to rip your hair out. Sometimes I feel like super professional, I've got this, other times I'm like, it's over, I suck. You know, like it happens. You're never going to be there and all your problems are solved. And now I'm an actor. Like, you're there every day in bits and pieces. You're there and you're not all the time. It's granular. So, does that help at all? Or are you like, no, Tatum, shut up, this is actually worse? Okay.
I still don't feel like I'm a professional, or that I'm doing this for or any professional manner whatsoever. And it's only actually when I come to conventions and meet you guys and people actually want my autograph on one of their personal belongings, as I devalue it with my silver Sharpie. It's just crazy to me that anybody would want that, but again, you are what people think you are, and if people put value on you and respect you and admire you, then I guess it's something.
And you said you've been doing this for 9 to 10 years? Have you ever gotten a paycheck from it?
Not just yet. It was mostly the hobby of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it started to be practice.
Were you like in the garage, just like, coming up next on NBC, but no one's playing it anywhere, just like doing it. The thing about all that stuff that's crazy too is, like, before you do anything, you're like, wow, I can't imagine what it would be like to be on a cartoon. It just gotta be the greatest thing. Me and Josh, when we were like 5 years old, we're sitting around, man, that'd be great to be on a cartoon. I want to be on the TV. And then like you do it, you see the first time you see a cartoon, like, kind of demystifies cartoons for me now. I feel like if I can get on it, it wasn't like this weird, like,
I'll just let anybody on this train.
Yeah, and then you're like, wow, but a movie, I get in a movie, that's gonna be like, then you see the movie, like, all right, well, there it is, I guess. Like, yeah, you know, it's not as, it's not that you're not grateful for, well, not that I'm not grateful for it, but it's sort of like demystified a little bit of, oh, okay, and then it sort of becomes your weird normal. You know what I mean? Like going to these things is like a weird normal, like, oh yeah, no, I saw Lee Majors fight over the last bottle of water with John Cusack in the green room. That's just another freaking Wednesday for us at this point. Like,
I saw Jonathan Frakes quote like Symmetra's voice line in a green room one time. He's like, oh, this is the ultimate reality, huh? What, are we gonna mulligan? I'm like, that's freaking Riker saying that.
What is my mind? Yeah.
And then your fellow was like, you're not taking that turkey sandwich.
No, and then he said,
yeah.
and then he looks at me and he goes, can you give me some new water? And I was like, no. I'm not done.
All right, you guys. Thank you so much for coming out to Voiceover 101.